All right, John, what do you say?
All right, let's do it.
Moonlight, let's do it.
Rick,
Here
do you
we
have
go.
any housekeeping that you want to talk about before we jump in, or?
Yes, briefly. We love interactive sessions. We already, attendance-wise here, are hitting some record highs for ourselves, and I can see it skyrocketing. So this will be our likely our largest attended webinar ever, and a very exciting day for SmartSuite as we have some unique and very creative and exciting features to be highlighted today, to be released to all. As part of that, the brief housekeeping would be, let's keep the chat going. Let's keep the conversation going here. For Q&A, there is a Q&A section down at the bottom. So you'll see that there. If you go ahead and scroll over the bottom of your Zoom, you'll see Q&A. Would love to keep the questions focused there so we can ensure that we get to them all. Sometimes they get buried in the chat. So please keep the questions in there and we'll do our best to answer as we go along. And my favorite part about Zoom, I love calling it out in every webinar, those react buttons down the bottom. I'm sure that you all will enjoy some bits of what is shown here, what's highlighted. So yeah, there we go. Let's warm up these react buttons. We've got applause, we have thumbs up, hearts, joy, ta-da. Let's put those all to use. I expect to see those flowing as you like what things that are of interest, as John and Stoyan or Artem will be highlighting today. So with that, I'll pass it over to our CEO and co-founder, John Darbyshire.
Yeah, thanks, Rick. This is quite a day for SmartSuite. It's something that we've been working on with hundreds of partners and customers here for the last year as a strategy around how to make the dashboard capability that we have more interactive, how you to present portals, how you to present customized workflow pages in the context of the work. One of the lessons that we're learning as we're at this journey at SmartSuite is that we do a great job of presenting data in tables and different types of views like grid and Kanban and calendar and such. But what we're finding is that when people do work, they don't necessarily want to work out of a single view to do that. They want to have information pulled from multiple tables in the same solution that you're in. But in many cases, you want to pull data from other workflows that are happening to have the context of the work that you're doing that's there. So we're working to make things more interactive. What we're going to show you today, you can visualize this as a visual design studio capability that we've added on top of dashboards that allows you to use drag and drop technology to build some really interesting types of pages to present data back to your users. Before I jump right into this, I just want to say a big shout out to the SmartSuite team. Artem's on the call today. I've been giving Artem headaches for the last 3 months with pushing features in here. He's the guy that makes the magic happen on the development side. Pete Novosel, our CTO, is the one that works the magic on the back to understand how everything begins to fit together. But our product team, our development team, our design team, our QA team, our product marketing team have put a lot of effort into making this happen. So as we're going through features and things that you like, feel free to throw comments and feedback in there for them specifically. I think they're all a little tired coming into the day. It's been a few long nights, and they would greatly appreciate that. We've also set up a feedback form for dashboard feedback. And Nate, if you could put a link to that in the comments right now. If you have particular feedback as we're going through, we'd love to hear that, good or bad or indifferent, that's there. And note that here by Friday, we'll have a feedback link inside of dashboards when you're in edit mode, that at any point in time, you can do a single click and just give us your impressions, good, bad, or things that we need to add that we're missing, what you like. We're just looking for feedback that's there. All right, so let's jump in. I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to start things off. Make sure that this is... All right. Everybody seeing my screen okay?
Yeah, we see it well.
Sean,
You confirm?
all
Okay.
good.
Perfect. So we're gonna start things off with just thinking about what are the possibilities, right? We've added all of these new features, and instead of going into each individual feature, I'm just gonna show you what's possible. I'm gonna show you 6 or 7 different use cases of how people have been using this. This has been live in alpha, in beta for the last couple of months with a number of partners and customers. We've been learning a lot as they've been using it, and I just want to show that off to you. So we're going to start off with an example from a customer that's managing assessments as part of their GRC program. And you see here that we've added the ability across the top to now have navigation that you can add to a dashboard. And I'll click into these in just a minute and show you how to set this up. You can include logos, you can include links. Each link has its own unique information that you can display on the page. You can add buttons in the navigation to request feedback, contact us. It could link to any type of URL or perform actions inside of SmartSuite that's here. In this case, we're displaying a banner, and below the banner, we're just doing some simple things. We're just saying, hey, here's a list of my assessments with some information about how to actually use it. This one's pretty basic, right, in what you can do. And below that is a calendar, but you'll notice at the bottom, you also have the capabilities to add footers now to dashboards. And this is a very simple footer with just a logo and a couple of links. And you can get as sophisticated as you want with the footers that are there to help brand information that's there. I'm going to click on the next tab that's here. And you'll notice a couple of things happening here. In this case, we have a new widget type that's a heading. We can add a heading and description above anything. We also are showing off here a filter widget where you can add a filter that controls the tables that are down below that. So in this case, in the way that it used to work is users could come in and select filters and it would feel somewhat complex at times that's there. So I could go into this and I'm just going to show you how to do that real quick. I can go into this particular table and I'm going to say, I don't want to display the toolbar. The toolbar is gone. And now this widget that's up above it that actually has the values that you've selected will allow them to perform the filters that are there. These filters are ands in between, so you can select as many filters as you want, and you have the ability, and I'll show you in a minute, of how to set this up with only the filters and the values in the filters that you want to see for a user. Another example that we're seeing quite often with tabs is that people are starting to embed getting started guides and workflow information directly into the page to make it very easy for users to have a single click to understand the context. This is just using our text type widget that's basically a smart doc that allows you to embed information. And this here is pretty typical. I just wanted to show off both of these as typically side-by-side guides, but you could make this full screen. You could change obviously you can drag and drop and change the size of these on the fly that's there. The next thing here, this is showing off a new widget type called Frequently Asked Questions, FAQs. They've added a heading here and they've set up an FAQ that is just built into the context here. If I wanted to edit the FAQ, I could just go right in. You could see I have a listing of questions and answers. We allow for smart doc capabilities inside of the answers that you have here. So you can colors, links, different items associated with that. In this particular case, they've added 2 different widgets and given them names to break things up to feel like categories. And you can add as many of those on the page, on any page as you would want that's there. And then the last item from this example is just feedback, which we're seeing is quite common in 2 different ways right now. Adding buttons that click to forms and embedding forms directly into links, where people that are participating in the workflow can provide feedback back to you on updates that they would like to see to make the workflow more efficient for them that's in there. I'm really liking this particular element of embedding this directly into the workflow and letting the people that are performing the work to provide feedback directly back to you. All right, moving on quickly. I want to give you a completely different use case that's here. This is a customer service portal that's here. So you can see different tabs, different logo that's here. Let's say that I wanted to edit some of this information as I'm going through. As I click edit mode, you'll notice that now with this header, I can say edit navigation that's here. And inside of the nav, I can do a couple of things. So I can upload this logo and I can say, I don't like the size of that logo. So can you just make it a little bigger, a little smaller that's in here? So I'm going to say, I like it about this size right here. It's that simple. So when you upload something, you can very quickly resize. To add tabs, you have 3 different options when you add tabs in any navigation: left, center, and right alignment. It depends on how visually you want to display the information and if you want to include buttons on the side as well. That's here. You can name each of those. And then on the action buttons, if I wanted to add an action button to something, I could say something like feedback. And I give this a color. Maybe I want to make this black and I could give it an action. This could be a URL to a form, to a web page. You could run a script. You'll soon be able to link to automations. You'll just have full control over what you want the button to do. So I'm just going to say, I just want this to go to SmartSuite.com and I want it to open in a new tab. So it's that simple for you to add something across the top that's here. In this example, for this customer service portal, I'm going to flip back to just view mode. They're using what we call our hero image that's here, our hero widget, excuse me, that allows you to include an image both with a caption, a heading, a description, and buttons if you choose. And in this case, they've added an FAQ on the homepage. So when people first come in, they understand things. When I click on support tickets, getting a little more detailed here, showing off some fun things. So they've added a heading widget that's here. And down below, they've added what we call a record selector and a record detail. A record selector allows you to put a selection of records directly on the form. And as I go down this list and pick a record, you'll notice that this area is changing in real time. And this is called a record detail. These two pieces are linked together. You can select the fields that are displayed in the detail. So it could be one or all fields, doesn't matter to us. And you can determine if the fields are inline editable or if they're just view only as you're viewing the information that's there. And I'm going to show you a few more things and come back to these just briefly. And then Artem's going to spend some time here in about 20 minutes to go into the details of these two specifically for you. In this case, the customer is including a resource library using a SmartDoc field type that's just helping users understand the context of the portal itself. They're including performance metrics that are broken up different ways, showing our new summary widget that is available that allows you to do a count of any information in any field that's there and then pick the color and display that with just a number versus our comparison metric type widgets that we have now. And here they've linked the open tickets information below down to a record filter that allows me to filter down that information to see, and I can control which of these the filter actually controls the two. And then team collaboration, they're just keeping track of their weekly plan, and they have a link to their stand-up to join their Google Meet live with a summary of everything that's taken place. So I think what you're seeing from these first couple of examples is just a way for people are coming in and working in the context of the entire workflow, not one record at a time. And you can very easily customize things. If I want to customize this hero widget type, I can click edit. When I hover over this, you'll now notice that we have new controls that allow you to just grab here. I can move things up and down using the arrows, or I can click this edit icon. When I click edit, it takes me right into edit mode of that widget type. And so here is the context of the widget. In this case, I have a caption. I could say that caption, I want to change the color of just the caption itself. Maybe I want to make the caption color orange. I can do that separate from the context of the main element. I can determine how I want that, the size of that element. So I could say, I want that to be larger. Maybe an H2 feels better to me here. And then I can control the text that's down below, again, using color, text, those different items. On the image side, I can come in and very quickly select that image that goes here. And then I could determine, if you're more technical, how you want that image to actually display in the available area that's there. We've got it set for cover. And I can change the image height, just like we were talking about before with the logo element. So it's very easy to come in and just add these elements and text to set this up. But then we give you some styling options as well. So I could say, right now I'm looking at, I have a left align with the image, but say maybe I want that image on the top, and I could make that image a little bigger, make it more interesting. Maybe I want to change that to have the image on the left. We also allow you to change the spacing that's here. So I could go from a 30-70 to 50-50, or I could go 70-30, kind of depends on how you want to do that. And then we give you options on the width of this. So I could say, I want this to be the full width of the dashboard. So if I go back, I save that, see how this now extends all the way to the edge that's there. And I could come back in, I'll change it back to fixed. So you can see the difference and just see now it relates to the borders that are around here. So it's completely up to you on how you want your banners to be organized that's here. And then you can also control the background. So in this case, the background is a color, and we've set the color to that. You could also set the background as an image that's there. So I can have an image behind the entire background if I want. And if you want to change the color, it's as simple as just clicking into the selector, changing the color that's here. So I'll go back to what we have. So that's it for hero image. This is probably going to be one of the most used images that we have, just from what we're seeing, our widget types that we're seeing so far from people. And in this case, we've added buttons to do certain things that are here as well. On the heading widget, I'll just show that just quickly as well. So a heading widget basically just allows you to control the heading. So I can do the same thing that I just showed you in the hero image with just a heading and description. You can be as creative as you want. You could add captions above that. can control all the elements that's there. It's meant to just be very simple for you to be able to do that. This widget type is very interesting. And one thing you notice that we added based on customer feedback is as you're in edit mode and you're hovering over the different widget types, that up here we're showing you the name of the widget to make it very easy for you to understand. This is a heading, this is a record selector, record details, this is a progress metric, a summary card. Since you can be so creative, sometimes it's easy not to know what you have set up. So we tried to make it a little easier. That's there. For a record selector that's here, when you go into a selector, there's two main things that the first thing that you do is you pick the source. So this is the source table. What you can do here is you can pick a source from any table in your workspace. So it doesn't have to be just in the solution that you're in. When you select that source, everything is permissioned based on that source to all the users that access the data. So if you turn this on and a user doesn't have access to that data, they're not going to see the data. Or if they're not supposed to see certain fields, or they're not supposed to see certain records, all the permissions flowed automatically from the source table that you select that's there. In the dropdown itself, you notice here we have a record name, but you can, and I'll turn these off quickly so you can see the display. I could display just the record name, or I could say, in addition to the record name, I have some additional information that I would like to display. So you can pick the fields that show in this listing that are here. And then under style, you can say, I'm partial to this listing, but you can say, I just want to show this as a dropdown. So when a user comes in, it just shows as a dropdown on the page. And when they click the dropdown, it shows all the options. So if you just want to have something on top that's there. And then the color background, and this is pretty consistent across all the widget types, is you can control the color of the background behind the widgets. So you could leave it white, you could change it to neutral, or you could just pick a color. And we give you the core solution colors. And this first one is what most people are using, and with the S means solution. So it's picking the color from the main solution that you have just to keep it easy. So now you see I have this color background that's here. If I come into that and I want to change that to neutral, it's just that simple for you to change the color or not have any color at all that's there. So once you set up, and did I change this to a dropdown? So I would probably want to align it like that. When I click the dropdown, here are the elements that I can see. A record detail allows you to then connect to a selector, so we know which record you want to display, and then you can pick the information that you want. So the source for this is actually this select ticket record selector that I just showed. Here are the fields, and I could come in and add. This is showing you all of the fields that are in the source table that you've selected. So if I want to add this formula field, I could just add the formula field. You could use drag and drop to reorder the information on the page in real time that's there. As you go into each element, there's some control that you have. So I can click here and I can set some permissions, display types, help text, and field width. And Artem's going to go into this in a little more detail in a few minutes that's here. Of all of the widgets that we've released, the combination of these two, as far as getting work done, are the most used so far. People are doing a lot of neat things with displaying selectors and records on the page. All right, let's go to the next use case, show a couple of things here. So this is a use case for inventory management, where they're just showing a simple dashboard that kind of shows the stock, the purchase orders that are coming in, shows a listing of suppliers that they have. They could look at suppliers by product. They could link those to purchase orders. They can see a list of open sales orders right now. They could break that down by the product or the platform. They could see open POs that are in here. I want to show you one context. So this right here is a banner widget. So if I want to edit this, similar to the hero and the heading. So if you look at complexity, heading is the simplest. Banner takes it one step further, and then hero gives you all the flexibility. So a banner basically allows you to just control the text that you want, but we give you some styling options now where you can pick the background. So I could say, hey, here I'm not showing any color. Maybe I want to change the color to X. Or I could come in and say, hey, I want to use an image. So I'd uploaded an image here, and I want to just show the image of the background. It's just that simple for you to play with and change the backgrounds of the banners that are there. All right, moving on. Let's go to software development, which is a fun one. This is one that I use every day with our development team. Move this back into view mode. But this is an example a scaled down version of what we use at SmartSuite to manage our own development. So we call this Command Central. And when people come in, it says, hey, here's a list of kind of news and updates that we need to communicate back to the team. Here's upcoming releases that are getting ready to happen, and the stories and the bugs that are included in that. It would include a list of any open customer bugs and the status, the days outstanding. And then we keep track of all of our team information and calendars and FAQs just to help people know what vacation schedules and things are. If someone needs to understand what's happening in the current release, maybe in a different department, in a single click, they see here's everything that's getting ready to go out in the next release that we're working on right now. If we want to see a listing of anything that's in flight, this is an interesting view in that we've basically created grid views for different things that are in flight. And I don't have data behind this, but I want to show you the concept. So you can just click and open and close the sections. So what we've done in these is for any dashboard section, you have the ability to minimize. And you do that by just clicking on the dot. So I could say, I want to minimize or maximize this by default that comes in here. And in my case, I love this because I have about 7 or 8 different views that I just like to keep an eye on things. And in a single click, I can just come in here and see all that. So it's my own little personal menu. But it's better than that. When I hover over, if I don't want to click to open, I can just click the full screen and it just takes me right to the details, pulls up the full detail that's in here. So super useful that's here. All right, let's move on to the next real quick. Let's do some fun things that you are probably not thinking that are available in SmartSuite. So let's think about you are a professional services organization and you need to present information back to your customers or potential customers. In this case, this is a designer that is actually created a simple dashboard that they're saying, hey, I'm Adam Bright. Here's my portfolio for the type of work I provide. They are sharing this dashboard link back to their customers. And you could do one per customer, or you can make it very specific, or you could just have a general one that's here. In this particular case, we'll put it in edit mode. I'll show you the concept. So this here is just the hero that we talked about before with an image on top and a background image that's in there with the button that's been turned on. Here we're adding just a heading. So you can see a heading can include information like this with lots of text as well. And then we have a series of heroes down below that where they're showing off different things that they've done by year that's there. And then in here, they've embedded a grid view on top of a heading widget that's here, showing off their experience. If you want to see more about their work, they're actually pulling information in from Figma. So this is actually an embed widget type that's been available for quite some time that allows you to embed any URL that you have. So this could be Microsoft products, Google products, Figma, videos. It could be whatever that you want to show. And it's basically a little mini website where the user can click and interact however you have that set up. In their case, they've also included testimonials, and they're using this record selector with the testimonial, the record detail. So if I click on one of these, it actually tells me about the testimonial and some more information about it and changes. We could have changed this to a simple drop down, lots of different ways to display that, but it's interesting how they're pulling live data back in for their testimonials. And then if you want to contact them, they have a form that's embedded directly in the widget that's here. And you just fill out information and it notifies them directly. And they've included their contact information with an interesting footer. We didn't talk about the footer before, but if I want to edit a footer, I just click edit. And it brings up the footer and all the different elements. I could enable and disable the footer on the page. You can pick from different layouts, simple and advanced. You can select a logo. In this case, they've put in Adam. If I wanted to make that a little smaller, I could. You can include the links that you want to build for your links lists. You can pick the color of those. You can add social networks, put in your LinkedIn, Slack, Instagram, whatever that might be. You can add a tagline like they've done in this case. You could pick a background color that's here. So you can get pretty customized with this information that you want to have. All right, enough about that. Let's move to something else you might not be thinking about. So this is an example of an interactive SmartSuite newsletter that can pull in data in real time. So this is basically showing what's included in the release that we just did. So these are just hero images. We can share this back out just as a link to a newsletter to people, but we can make it a little more interactive in that they could click on what's coming soon in addition to what we just did. They could see our events, they could provide feedback, we could have a button for request demo. So just trying to make things more interactive. That's there. All right, let's jump into risk management. I'm going to give you just a couple more use cases to set the stage for some of the additional features. So this is just another customer that's managing risk inside of SmartSuite. They have a really simple hero image with the description that's here. And then they go right into displaying different types of risks that are coming in. So this is the main team that's actually working and understanding what's happening from all the assessments that are taking place. They're tracking their issues and actions, and they're bubbling those up with summary cards and then linking this information back and showing it in different grid views and summaries that are here. And then they're using the frequently asked questions concept that we just talked about before. That's their professional or inventory management. No, sorry, professional services. This is an example of just professional services very quickly. This could be a portal that you allow your customers to come into to see the status of a project that's happening, or it could be for your internal team members that are there. The first page in this one is just feeling more like a web page when somebody comes in with information, but then it goes right into, hey, here are the projects, the status of each project, the tasks that are there. In this case, this is built for an internal team, so they're clicking on each of this is the selector. So they're looking at each of the projects and they're seeing the details at a glance that's here. You'll notice in the top corner that if you want to drill into the details to see everything about the project, you just click here. It takes you right into the full record that you have if you need to make edits. Same thing with comments, and you can turn this feature on and off. You'll be able to turn on and off the comments features next week, as well as activity history. But if you want somebody to be able to interact with the communication center, that you can just click, it opens the record in the context of the communication. And if there's any communications, you would see the threaded summary of those here. But you have the ability to turn those off if you don't want to. And then each of the record details has the full screen mode. So I can click here and just pull the data up. And if I have this set up, I could display this information in 4 columns, which a number of customers have asked for, just displaying as much information as possible through there. All right, this last one is just a fun one with order management. It doesn't look fantastic, but I just want you to see that in this particular case, you're able to come in, they're using the record selector, you're picking a customer, you're seeing the order details, but you can also connect a record selector to another record selector based on a linked record. So in this case, when I select the customer, it will now show me a list of the orders specific to that customer that are there that I can click out. So I can click between order to order. So Artem's going to talk about this a little bit, but you can get very sophisticated in how you want to set these up if that's of interest to you. Last one I'll show here is a fun one around board management that's used with a lot of startup companies. This is a way to just manage all the activities that are happening around board meetings and the committees and the details and things that are happening that's here. But you can use this concept across any type of team management that you have. This is just saying, hey, here's everything that's going on, the current status of everything that's happened in the board meetings. Here's some of the details where I can go in and I can pick a particular month. So I could pick September, and there were multiple meetings. So they're connecting 2 of these record selectors together. So there were multiple meetings that month. Which one do you want to see? And here's the details of that particular meeting that's there. You could see a listing of committees and dates and things that are happening, and you can see an overall calendar that's there. But again, what I'm trying to show you is just how all of this information, how you can use all these different elements to display interesting information that's here. Rick, I'm getting ready to jump into kind of the how-to. Is there any specific questions that have popped up in comments that I need to answer first?
They are loading up here. A lot of support, lots of love for, in particular, the color, the styling, the designs, the thoughtfulness for multiple personas, right? We're obviously appealing to many different folks in the use cases here. The number one question, I think you touched on this at the beginning, but just to make it clear for all, is this available now? Can folks get their hands on it right now?
It's available as of this morning. Everything is live that I just showed you.
There we go. All right. We may have just lost half our audience to side playing with this, but no, do stay tuned here because we're going to get in and show you some really cool use cases. In addition, Artem will in a moment. Number 2 question, how can we get more people involved and engaging with these portals that might not be SmartSuite users already?
Yep. So there's two things here. The first one is you can go in and share any of the portals that we're talking about. It's just a shareable link. Everything is view only that's in there. What is coming, and this will happen in the fourth quarter, is you'll be able to package up what we're showing here as individual elements that you can share via a URL or a custom URL, and it will be editable that's there. And we'll be sharing more information about how that will work. You could use a custom URL, have this off of your website, maybe. It just depends on how you want users to be able to interact. So think of that more as a portal type concept when you're wanting to share information outside. And then we'll have some different ways for you to package this where you don't have to include the tabs and things across the top, even for users in your own organization. If you just want them to come to this element, and this is how they think about inventory management in your company, and this is what you want them to see versus the full-blown navigation across the top and even the navigation on the side that's there. So we'll be announcing more about that in the fourth quarter, the two.
Love it. And I want to highlight as well, Artem, you may be showing this in your bit of the demo, but the filter widget has the capability to filter based on current user, which is a real game changer. Yeah. So when someone syncs in here, it can be auto-filtered to all the information that's relevant to them. We have this available in grid views and that, but now to be able to connect that to multiple widgets is very powerful.
Yeah, let's just show part of that right now. I should have showed that earlier, but this is the filter widget. So if I want to edit that, you come in, you pick the source table, and then you pick the filters that you want to have. So in this case, I've set 2 filters so I can see what these are, and these interact together. So all the same filter capabilities that you have inside of a regular view show up inside of the filters for you to use here.
Yep.
And Artem will go into that in a little more detail.
Awesome. The number 3 general question that keeps coming out, will these templates be available for all? People like what they're seeing.
Yes. So maybe now is a good time to announce a couple of things that will be coming. So on Monday, we're going to do an announcement of a kind of a dashboard contest that we're going to make available. We're going to have $5,000 in prizes for the first 5 in total, and we'll have prizes 1 through 5 will be cash prizes, and then we'll have another 15 prizes that are going to get some really cool swag, and it will allow you to be creative and show what you're creating, and we'll show you where that you can go in and publish these for other users to see and vote on those. We'll keep that open for 2 to 3 weeks. We're trying to determine that this week on the time frame, but the intent is for people to really understand possibilities. And then each one of our solution templates that we have is being updated to include styling just like this in every one of the 200 templates that we have that are there.
Amazing.
So we're going to do a lot of things to make these available.
I'm super excited for that. I'm sure we'll get a lot of entries from folks here that are probably already in and playing and building. One other thing I'll mention here is just Marcus's comment from a little while ago. He did have one worry that he pointed out. He's worried about how much time he's going to spend in upcoming days with these features.
Yeah, I can tell you, we've been playing around with these a lot, and it allows you to be very creative in the way that you want to display information back to people. And it can help them be more engaged in the work that they're actually doing. And I can tell you that adding simple banners and things like this to the top of pages, and then having grids and calendars and Kanbans and stuff below, feel more comfortable to interact with content that's there. So I anticipate that instead of using just a grid view, in many cases, you're going to start to just do really simple things with headers and line breaks and things in between. And
brilliant.
Let me share a couple of things on settings that I failed to mention, and I'll use this dashboard as an example. So when you turn on edit mode now, you'll notice that there's a settings icon that's right here. And when I click on that settings icon, it takes me into dashboard settings. And we clicked on the navigation. If you have a heading or a navigation, you could also click here under edit navigation. It takes you right to the same panel. So we've talked about how to set up tabs and logos and action buttons, and how to build your custom footer if you want one, and how to enable that. But there's a few more things that are really important here. So you can now control the page style, starting with the width that's here. So auto width is what we have right now, which means that we're going to give you a nice little margin on both sides. But when you display this on a larger monitor, we'll take advantage of all the space that's available, and we'll stretch the content from side to side and keep this margin on the side for you. There are times that maybe you don't want that, so you want the margin to be a little smaller and to be fixed. And I'll set that to standard, and I'll save it. So see now that I can have a little tighter margin, so the content is always displayed in the context of this particular area that's here. And then if you really want something more like the newsletter concept that I did there, you can go with this for this smaller style that's more typical of a web page that you have. So you're going to have a larger border on the side. But what we allow you to do for the banner type widgets is I can go into the style of the widget and I can pick the spacing and I could say I want this to be full width, which means it will go across the borders that you set. So you can set things to work this way and go outside of that limit if you would like to. That's it. So I'll change that back to the fixed width. And also didn't mention this on the banners, but you have the ability to control the height of the banner very easily by just saying small, medium, large, extra large, and we'll add padding for you that's in there. The hero image, you even have more control over each top, bottom, left, and right. That's available. And then the second item, save that under settings, is we allow you to, or under style, under dashboard settings, is we allow you to control the background color. And you notice that in many of the ones that I was showing you now, people are starting to use color. By default, it's white. I could do a single click and I just changed all this background, everything that's in between each widget to neutral, or I could pick a custom color. And again, if you pick this first option, the S means solution, we will pick a color based on the solution color automatically for you. So everything just feels like it's integrated. So I can very quickly just jump between colors that are here. So we haven't done custom colors here outside of these on purpose, that it helps you just keep things consistent for the users across everything that's in your workspace that's there. And we've done the same thing with tabs. We haven't given you lots of different versions and styles of tabs because we're trying to keep it consistent for the users as they click from workflow to workflow, that things feel consistent for them. And one thing that I didn't mention on the navigation here is each of these three elements, the logo, the tabs, and the buttons, are independent. So if you came in and said, I don't want a logo, and you just want tabs, and you want those tabs to be centered, you have a lot of flexibility in how you can display the information across here. All right, Rick, it's always hard when I'm doing these to understand if things are resonating with people or not, because I'm not seeing the comments as I'm actually presenting, but hopefully you understand the true value of kind of this visual design studio capability that's built in. We're just getting started. There are so many cool features coming that's here, and I'll show you how we're going to communicate those. So when you go into edit mode and you click to add new widget, you'll see a new panel shows up, and you'll see a listing of all these new widgets broken down by category. And we put new next to the ones that were just released today for you to be able to see those that's here. So as you scroll down the page, there's things that I didn't talk to you about, adding dividers and adding additional spacing between elements that's there. The record display relates to the record selector and the details. And you'll notice here we have coming soon to let you know that we're adding widgets specifically for record history, record comments, and my work. And you'll be able to link those to connectors and everything, just like we're talked about. So you can basically build very customized pages. And right now, when you work inside of SmartSuite and you click into a record, we bring a record up in this format. You'll have the ability towards the end of the fourth quarter in this view to say, when a user clicks to expand, I actually want them to go here to this page, this workflow page that can be customized that's there. So you're going to have a lot of flexibility on how you design and style things that you want people to get to that are there. All right, lost my train of thought there for a second, Rick. Let me look at my notes. I tell you what, let me turn things over to Artem. Artem is going to share some of the details of how to set up a record selector and a record picker. It's easy to do, but it can be very complex in how you set things up. If you want the complexity that's there, we're going to have lots of training, live training classes. We have videos already created on this, but it is a very powerful feature. And Artem runs our product team, and he's ultimately responsible for making sure that these features work. And so I thought it best would let him show off what we built. So I'll stop sharing, and Artem, if you want to jump in.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. But somehow, John, you've presented a lot from what I was going to show, so you made my presentation life easier. But anyway, I hope I will still have some interesting things to share. Okay, please let me know if you are seeing my screen.
We are, yes, Artem.
Okay. So as John mentioned, we have this new selector widget that can actually work not only with the details that we saw, but also it can be connected to other widget types such as grids, metrics, and even other record selectors, right? And I will show you exactly how it's happening. But first, there's one thing that I wanted to mention in the settings of the selector that we skipped. And this is this option, the option here. So under the fields to display, soon we are going to be adding a cover image. And then if you think of use cases like you have real estate portfolio or maybe product inventory, and when you look at this list, it will be really nice to see a little image of an object in question. So just know that it's coming. It's not yet there, but soon to be released. And then another useful thing here is this toggle that either allows or not allows users to create new records right from the selector, which means that they don't need to leave the selector, leave the dashboard, go to the table, create a record and come back. They can do it right here from the widget. And this is a huge time saver, okay? Then, okay, I think we've covered these appearance options. All right. Now, record selector and record details are perfect match. They always, or most of the time, they work together. And I want to spend a couple of minutes showing you the abilities that we have when it comes to customizing the look of the record details, because they're quite unique and yeah, I'm sure you like them. John already mentioned that we have an ability to define, to select fields that we actually want to be displayed here in the record details. We have the drag and drop, so you can rearrange the order of those fields. But also when you click on this gear icon, or actually when you click on the field name, you will get this field properties model with those 4 options. And they are brand new. We haven't had them anywhere else. So let's go just one by one. Permissions allows you to define if this specific field, not all of them, but just this one field that I'm working with, the account name, should be rendered as a read-only or editable. And it gets a read-only if you're striving for a cleaner look, so maybe you just want to show some information and not bother about editing it. You can switch all those fields to be read-only and lock them. Or you can still keep them editable, which means that we will still respect and preserve the permissions that we have defined in the solution, the table, and even the field level. And even though the field is set to be editable, if I happen to be a viewer who is working with the dashboard and tries to access, the field will be still locked for me, and I will not be able to change any values. So know that permissions, above all, whatever settings we have, permissions are not going anywhere. Then the second one is also really fun. And it, again, lets you achieve a cleaner look if you have to. You can turn on and off the display of the name here. And sometimes when you work with the fields such as status or due date, they have such a prominent design that you always know the field that you're looking at. And you might just want to hide all those titles to reduce the noise on the page. So you can have it right now. Again, it's per field basis, so you can set it up individually. And same goes for help text. We see that often in GRC solutions, people tend to use a lot of help text, and then almost every field will have either a help icon, or maybe the help text will really be shown below the field. So again, it makes it a little bit noisy. And then in the context of the dashboard, you now have the ability to say that, okay, this field should not be showing any help icon, even though the help text is there. So this is the new option. And then if you want to keep it, still you can choose to show it as a tooltip or really bring back the entire text as you do on the record page, right? And finally, we have the field widths. Again, on the record page, maximum you can do is put 2 fields next to each other. But in this case, the entire widget is divided. You can't see it, but it is divided into 4 columns, which means that now for every field, you can define the width of that field. And this results in endless combinations of how those fields can be stretched or condensed and rearranged. And actually, you can really achieve some unique combinations and layouts of this record page. Yeah, I have to mention that some of the fields like linked records, sub-items, checklists, and files will always be full widths, like you cannot condense them too much. All right, so that's for the settings of the record details. And by the way, here you can see I have two of them one by one. Let me exit the edit mode. So this one has, they are the same. They're pulling data from the same record selector. But this one has the edit mode enabled, and I can change the values. And again, important point that I forgot to mention, that these values will be changed immediately as you go. You don't need to have to click on the save button because we don't even have the save button here. So everything happens in real life, in real time, like this. And then on the right, we have an example where all the titles are hidden, fields are set to be read-only, and you can just compare. This one looks a little cleaner than this one. But again, all depends on the context. You have the freedom to set it up the way you like. And also when you start resizing those widgets, those fields are smart. So they know their widths that you put in the settings, like this one is 4 columns, but in case this widget becomes really narrow, like there is no room to display 4 columns, everything gets switched to 1 column. Then if you expand it, they will regain their size. So it's really dynamic, very cool. Okay, Rick, if you guys have any questions about this portion before I move to the next one, I can answer some.
I'll weave a bunch of questions back in as we go along, but yeah, please keep carrying on.
All right. So let me talk a little bit how you can connect selector to other widget types. So this connection is obvious, right? The record details, when we go to the source, there is no other option to pick here, but some kind of a record selector widget. So record details always pulls its data from a certain record selector. It's carved in stone. But then if I go down below, I have a grid view that displays my opportunities. And when I'm changing accounts, you can see that the list of opportunities gets changed together with the accounts. So in fact, this grid view is not showing information from the accounts table. It still pulls information from the opportunities, but yet somehow these opportunities know about the account that I've selected in the selector. And this is something that I want to explain because it might sound a little bit tricky, but in fact, it's quite easy. And you know what, let me just create a brand new widget. It will be a grid view. So imagine I want to add another grid view with the list of contacts, and I wanted to listen to my account selector and display those contacts that are linked to the selected account. So how do I achieve that? I will go to the source, and previously all we had was an ability to pick a table straight away, to just pull the information from the contacts. Now, what we need to do, we need to select the selector as the source, because we want our contacts to be in relation to the account. And then I will get another new field called linked record. And if I expand it, you will see that it will contain a list of linked records that exists in the table from which this record selector pulls its data from. So in other words, here I will see a list of linked records that exist in the accounts table. And using those linked records, I will be able to build the bridge between the grid and the selector. So in this case, I'm interested in getting linked contacts. So I will pick this linked record field. And basically that's it. The setup is done. So now, actually already have it here. Whenever I grab a contact, this grid view will be listening to my selection. And it's not only grid view, it actually expands to all other widget types. So I have here metrics, I can have charts, I can have calendar, whatever. And then finally down below, it's a pinnacle of this whole thing. And John already briefly showed it. We have an ability to build this, to have this cascade of selectors that are using each other as a source. So in this case here, I wanted to have a selector for the sales regions. Then I have another selector of accounts, and every account is linked to a certain sales region. And then I have a list of opportunities, and every opportunity is linked to an account. So whenever I'm selecting a sales region here, my second selector gets updated and reflects this selection. So it only shows me accounts from the US. Then I pick an account from the US and I get a list of opportunities. And not to mention that these links are not limited by one solution, right? Because linked records can see through the walls and you can pull data from anywhere across the workspace. So I don't know if you had some shipments or customer complaints or whatever, you can still link them through and get all these chains, right? And the way to connect.
Yeah, let me just comment on that, because this is such a powerful feature that we use in SmartSuite quite often, in that it allows us to go into an account, pick a particular customer, and we can see all the opportunities, all the contracts that we have with you, who the account rep is. But we also look in and we can see any of your open support tickets. We can see your feature requests. We can see tickets that are coming from our customer service. We can see the webinars that you attended. So we're pulling information from 5 or 6 other workflows in the context of just your account. And so SmartSuite allows you to go outside of the current solution that you're in, pull information from any table, anywhere in any solution in your workspace. But what's key to that is everything is permissioned based on that source table. So users will not see access to things they shouldn't. Even if you set this up to pull data, if that user logs in, it will look at their credentials in real time and they won't see data, either all the data, particular records, or particular fields. All of that will just fall away based on that. Sorry for interrupting, Artem.
No, I think that's a really valuable point here. Okay, what I wanted to state one more time. So I already showed you how a grid can be connected to a selector, but then how a selector can be connected to the other selector. And the good thing is that they can be connected exactly the same way. Like there is no difference. So here, when I go to the source for my accounts by region selector, all I have to do is say, okay, this one needs to pull information from my sales region selector. And then I will be presented with a choice, like which link record to use. And my sales regions have only one link record that actually links them to the accounts. So I pick this field and boom, my connection is established. And that's how I can easily build these bridges between selectors. And finally, I wanted to mention that filter widget also works perfectly with selectors. So in this case here, I have a status filter by region. For example, I want to filter out inactive regions. And I think in this case, Japan fall off. Okay. Then out of those US regions, maybe I don't want to see all of the accounts, but I only want to see partners and customers. Okay. And then once I pick it, I will get a list of quotes and I can filter on quotes saying only show me scoping. So this combination of record selector, record details, grid views, and filter, sky's the limit. You can really build insane things, and all the data became accessible at your fingertips within one dashboard. Like you don't need to go anywhere. Okay, so on this note, I guess that's all I have for today.
All right, Artem, that's pretty fantastic stuff. I've been playing with this for weeks, and it's just endless possibilities of how you want to be able to visualize the data. It's really a lot of fun. So I think with that, I appreciate everybody staying with us for an hour. There was a lot of information today to cover. Super exciting. Rick, I'm happy to stay on board and answer questions on roadmap capabilities as long as people want to stay.
Yeah. Let's do it. Yeah. Thanks for all that need to drop now. And yes, of course, a recording will go out as soon as it's processed and buffered. So you'll all be getting emails. So you can rewatch this, or the bits that perhaps we covered in depth that you need to see again. And Artem, just need to call out when you say, yep, that's about all I have for today. It's a whole heap of a lot you have for today. So cheers for that. Cool. Let's get rolling. I've been working diligently here to try to group together questions from different buckets, so we have a little bit more of a flow to this. Also, Artem, you had a fantastic quote in there. Linked records can see through walls. And that might live on in infamy right there, that line. Okay, Questions? First, there's questions about some of the other widgets, just our different view types. And I know that we have plans to include those if there's anything we can touch on there. So like a Gantt chart, Kanban.
Yeah. Let me update those real quick. So we released calendar is live today. That's in there. What's coming next is card view. It's underway right now. And then you're going to see Gantt, map, and timeline coming right behind that. So it was a lot of work to get all these pieces interconnected. You can see how all that works. The last part of this is connecting some of these last view types, but we're within, and Artem hold me to this, we're probably in 4 to 6 weeks of having the remaining view types done in that time frame.
This has been recorded, these commitments.
We won't hold you to it, Artem. No, is it though? Yeah.
No, but when we are working hard, that we deliver results. So yeah, it's in progress.
Yeah, know that the next one that's coming out is the card view that's there, and they'll be released as they're done. So you don't have to wait till the end. Each one will be coming out one at a time.
Yeah, brilliant. Lots of comments in here, just generally around Jamie, for example, around how nice all these additions are going to be for SOPs, for building standard operating procedures for businesses. And I know that's a little bit of the intent, is the process piece of it is critical for what we do. Any comments there, John?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's one of the key concepts as we started talking with customers and partners about all these concepts. We very quickly realized that people were building SOPs into the workflow presentation layer that's actually happening. So the tabs, and that's when we added the frequently asked questions, and you're seeing the smart docs with being able to add the SOPs as a link, and then the feedback forms that are coming in. So we're really happy with that. You're going to start to see that across all of our templates as well. It's just a really great way to help educate people without them needing to go lots of different places. And as I'm saying that, Nate, if you can throw the link to the dashboard feedback form back in the channel one last time for me. Note that we'll have this live when you come into the product. There'll be a feedback element that will pop up in dashboards here on Friday. But when you have feedback on dashboards, again, good, bad, or indifferent, we just want to hear the feedback and understand what you'd like, areas of improvement that we're going to focus on for the next release.
Yeah, as they say, with great power comes great responsibility. Our hope is that you bring the feedback, as you'll always do, just in helping us make this the best place to manage your work, right? Okay, a few others here with similar themes. Shane, Amanda, Doug, all asking, is all this going to be mobile friendly at some point?
It will be. So the mobile team is actually on listening. They have, I don't know, some 15 widgets are already available on mobile. Some of the more complex ones, they're being worked on right now. So the charts and the views and the filter widget are underway, and those will be released as done. That's in there. But the intent is we're not going to stop on the mobile side until everything we showed you today is displayable on mobile and tablet as well.
Absolutely. Chris is mentioning some of these are just nice product ideas or things that I know we're already somewhat working on. Chris had mentioned that when you were showing the visuals of the buttons, this would be a really great place to have a button run in automation. I know that scripting capability will be coming. Go ahead.
It is. So that's 80% done. Now that we're going to be able to take a breath that we got this launch out, we'll be able to have some resources back on making that connection. So you'll be able to have a button. We have a new trigger type in automations called when a button is clicked. So you set the automation up, and then you can link it to any button or multiple buttons anywhere. You just connect those two, and each time a person clicks, there'll be a modal screen that will pop up that will have some information to make sure, do you want to run this automation? Confirm. And then whatever you set up in the automation will take place. It could send emails, it could put stuff in Slack, it could process information. It's pretty unlimited, the capabilities there.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one. Dimitri is saying, please, I need a My Work widget. My Work widget.
Understood. Yep. In fact, that one's not that difficult for us. I'll put some pressure on Artem. We'll get that one sooner than later.
Movability of widgets and dashboards. Laura's asking, can we move widgets between tabs without recreating them?
Not currently. Yeah, not currently. We wanted to get the widget types all done first before we think about that capability that's there. And there's a couple things. We're going to consider replicating a tab. So you can take everything that's on a tab, move it to another tab. And then we'll think about when you do duplicate something, can you move it to another tab that's there? That's on the roadmap, but that work's not been started yet.
And another thing that's coming is the ability to get a URL for a tab. Because right now it just takes you to the dashboard, right? And instead people are wanting to send somebody a link to a particular tab. But that's another thing.
Absolutely. Rhonda, similar theme, slightly different. Can we copy a dashboard from one solution to another, or will that be made available?
It will. Artem confirm we can't allow that currently, correct?
You may move a table or duplicate it. You may duplicate a table in which the dashboard is and then move it to another solution, but you cannot move the dashboard alone.
You can't copy the dashboard yet to another solution. Yeah, so that's on the roadmap. I just wanted to confirm that we're not allowing that just yet, but you'll be able to share this concept of dashboard, portals, customized work pages between solutions in the future. That's there in the same way that you share a solution currently.
With the summary widget opening up a lot of capabilities of doing exactly that, summarizing data, Bob's asking, will there be a way to show a value generated within a current month to date?
Artem, can we?
It should be possible right now. You would probably need to have a formula
Correct.
that defines if this value was generated within the time frame that you need, and then you may use it in the filter within the summary card. If you can send us a message in intercom and describe the use case, then let's see, maybe we can just build it already.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can do that with a formula field right now. We're doing some similar things internally with that, with summary cards.
Okay. Bob's other question is around, he's putting the charts to use and chart widgets. I think this is the relevant one, although very specific, being able to put values in a bar chart, for example.
You want to display the value on top of the bar chart itself? Yeah, so that feature request is in. That work has not started yet, but yeah, we've agreed that we'll do that. It's on the agreed to public roadmap.
Yeah. Love it. All right. We have 66 here. Let's fire away as many of these as quickly as we can here. Of course, folks, we won't be able to cover all, but we will look at these after and respond to people as we can. All right, Richard, can we build timesheets with the dashboards to be able to see all the team hours since the last pay period, for instance?
So we have a feature that's being worked on right now that includes a timesheet capability. So anytime that you track time using our time tracking log field type, regardless of where the time is tracked in any table, it will summarize and pull all that information up by user for you to be able to display. And then that's when you'll be able to see that in the dashboard as well. You'll be able to see that in user profiles. So there'll be an element adding so you can basically see time by week by person that's there. And then that will correlate back to a widget type. And then Artem, I think the widget type will be able to be controlled by a filter as well. So you could filter things down based on time frames that's there. Yeah, I just talked myself.
Once we have the engine, you will have all the filters, so you can filter by table, by solution, by team, by person, by period. Yeah, all that.
Amazing. Rawson here, and this topic's come up in a few different ways. Peter, I don't know if you want to jump in and answer this one, as it looks like you mentioned that you would be. If these are being introduced as portals in some sense, is there a way to identify the who behind who is looking at the page so we can pre-filter the page with their data?
Yeah, I'll let me answer the first part of that of what's coming. I failed to mention that and let Pete add the technical side that's there. So what we didn't show today is that inside of many of the headings, like the heading, the simple widget, and the hero image, you're going to have the ability to pull data that's dynamic from user profiles. So you could say, welcome, John. So we know we pull that person in, you'll be able to pull their profile picture, basically anything that's in their profile. So it could be their title, their department, anything that is in there will be able to come forward. And then Pete, do you want to answer the second part of that?
I think I was addressing the pre-fill form portion of it and just recognizing when you have a form embedded within your dashboard, we'll eventually have the ability to detect who that user is. So you could do something like pre-populate the assigned to and essentially identify that user for them so they don't have to select out of a list.
Yeah, know that pre-filled forms, we're just talking about dashboards today, but that work is underway and we'll be announcing some enhancements with that here very shortly. And that relates to all forms being pre-filled, not just the ones you're seeing that we showed today.
Awesome. Let's see what else we can cover here. Caleb's asking the customer service portal support. We just answered this in a way, but specifically, logins for users, passwords for customers, users. John, do you want to speak a little bit about just clearly we have guest roles as a capability, our thoughts generally in bringing in folks that might not be SmartSuite users?
Yep. So you have a couple of options right now. You can bring in a guest user in your account that allows them to just have access to change statuses of things, basically tasks that are assigned. They can say that things have been completed, but they can't add new records that are in there. What's coming, and then obviously you can have a full-blown user in your account that has access to everything that you permission however you want that's there. We're going to have a new role that will be coming towards the end of the fourth quarter that we'll announce more in the next couple of weeks, that will be a hybrid that will allow you to give access to certain information in a single instance, maybe to a single dashboard for a much reduced cost if they're just needing to use that particular piece. We're trying to finalize those terms right now, but it will eliminate the need for you to think about external portals if you want to keep everybody in the context of your authentication inside of SmartSuite. So they would authenticate, you would control them as a user, they would just be paid for differently, but all the information for that user would then be tracked. So every change that they made to every record, all of those things will flow through everything that you're looking at. Put them in groups, fun stuff coming. The portal stuff we showed you today is the starting point to make all of that begin to happen.
Speaking future state, the shareability of dashboards is a huge addition for us here. Not all widgets are currently available through that. Is there a plan to get them all available?
There is. The majority of what we showed today is available. I think we're just maybe a week away from the record selector and the record picker being shareable from everything that we showed. But everything else, I think, everything else we showed today is shareable currently, with that exception, correct?
We're missing filter, calendar, selector, and details.
Okay.
These four, but yeah, they're being worked on right now. So the ultimate goal is, of course, to have each and every widget being shareable.
Yeah, there you go. Quite a bit of buzz around the timesheeting reporting. That's opened up a can in a positive way here. Do we want to venture a general time frame of when we may be able to bring that into SmartSuite?
Yeah, there's work that's being done right now on the phase one piece that we're working with a few select clients and partners on, and that will be released to them in the October timeframe in an alpha/beta kind of role with just those base ones. And then it depends on how much we're able to get done in that time if we make it available to everybody. But it's in the fourth quarter, but it could be much sooner that all these things are available.
Awesome.
Yeah, sooner in the quarter, yeah.
I'm seeing 3 or 4 here in similar vein around the ability to have a live client or company chat, almost like a chat widget where folks can Slack-esque can be there communicating within a dashboard.
Yes. So that is actually documented and designed, and we just haven't. Now that all this group of things is done, that will probably go into phase 2. But think of a personal Slack channel that is available in a dashboard. You select the people that can participate or the groups, and it works just the way that record comments work, but it's not tied to a record at that point. So you have threaded conversations associated with that.
Wonderful. And Adrian and a few others are asking about which of these features or these widgets are available in what plan types?
They're available for all plan types.
Love that. Everyone gets access to all. Can we embed a dashboard into our website?
Yes. Yep. Peter, Artem, you can do that now. So with these last 4 shareable widgets that we're talking about, once those show up, it's just like any other share link that you do.
Thumbs up. Yeah. Cool. Don, it's not the first time you've mentioned this, but just for note, dark mode is one that Don has surfaced, and many other folks are interested in that. And
yeah. Not a small undertaking. I wish it was, but it is on the roadmap. But no, I don't have a time date, or a date and time for that.
Yeah. Beautiful. Reading through some of these on the fly that are still coming through quickly. So we won't be able to get to all these folks. Trying to pick out ones that I've seen multiple times here. Folks want to see the roadmap. So good time to highlight the roadmap in feedback.smartsuite.com. Roadmap is in many ways driven by the virality, if you could say. All of your voices matter. And what we ask is to have it all funneled into one place. Yeah, perfect, John. If you want to speak through this and how we're putting even more emphasis on the external facing product roadmap.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that you can look at here. So if you want to come in, if you click in the bottom, you're going to see a list of resources. At the bottom of that, you'll see a couple of things. You'll see our change logs. When you click into that, this is a list of all the new features that are released with date and time associated with those, with links back to help articles, and in most cases, videos that are here. So most of the ones released today are included here already with the video content. Up at the top, you'll see on feedback, you'll be able to add feedback. This is all the feature requests that came in that you can see and vote on what other people have submitted. The dashboard contest that we're announcing more on Monday. This is where you'll come in and see all of the submissions, and you'll be able to click into each submission, see details and videos and things, and vote on the ones that you like. This is how we're going to begin to select the winners. Again, we'll announce more of that on Monday. Then the last item here is you see our roadmap that's here. So you see everything that's been submitted by customers. You see what has came in that's still what we call under review. When we say, yes, it's something we're adding to the roadmap, it moves into planned that's here. So you can see a listing of planned. And then you'll see a listing of in process, and this will be updated today and tomorrow with everything that we noted that we've released today that will be in here. And you can subscribe to as well. So every time that there is an update, you can be notified here. And if you vote for something or comment on it, let's go into shared map view. Every time that there's an update, you're auto notified by us. That's here. And here you can see all the communications, in particular into the shared map view component.
Yeah, I love that. John, a question here around, can a menu header button be used to navigate to another portal dashboard page? As a GRC person, I'm wondering if there's enough menu space to facilitate client engagement.
You can. So it's just a URL. It will open in a new tab, as opposed to in the tab that you're in right now. If you wanted to open it in the same tab, that's something that we can consider, but it works right now with all button field types to open in a new tab.
Yeah, perfect. Funny one here from an anonymous attendee. Thanks for this. Artem and Rick, we're fielding questions on the beard and the haircut as the SmartSuite style. Is this now a requirement? People said sales and product are not as aligned as they often should be. And this is my first commitment to this. Artem word first. I'm simply following suit. The man looks sharp, and yeah, just trying to do my part. Thanks for
I
that
guess
question.
maybe I'll grow my beard out, but I'm having a hard time with the hair looking as stylish as you guys.
Trying to keep it.
If Pete will do it, I'll do it.
There you go. It would be wonderful. Beautiful. Okay, yeah, there's ask of part 2 coming of this launch. If this is part 1, oh my goodness, what is part 2 bringing? Do we want to share any of that, or time frame at least?
Yeah, let me share a couple things on that. I briefly mentioned that. Let me just share my screen again. Close this. When you click on edit mode here and you click on add widget, you'll see when you click on some of these, we went ahead and included things that people we know are going to ask questions about. So we're telling you that this is on the roadmap. We're working on these right now. This is coming soon, and these will flip to new here as they are done. So you can see we'll work on record history next, record comments, the My Work piece that's been requested. Actions, we have an interesting one here that was brought to our attention, in that being able to have a banner, but actually include your filters inside of the banner instead of buttons that are there. And we agree that is super powerful. So it doesn't take up as much space. So we're working on a concept of how to do that. And then if you click under like charts, you'll see a couple that regular chart views that we have available that we're adding to widgets as well. So you've got the heat map, the bubble, and the scatter that's there. So this is how we're going to keep you updated on what is being worked on right now as far as widget types, the base ones. The roadmap will be updated by the end of the week with all the things that are now moving into production. So you can look at the roadmap that I just showed you as well to see that. But there's probably another 10 to 12 fun widget types that people have requested for different things that are coming in that will be moving into development at different levels over the next 2 quarters, basically. And then you're going to see the sharing capabilities that we talked about, and the portal kind of user piece that we talked about will be 4th quarter. But if you've got feedback, let us know. Like we love to watch how you're using these dashboards and those little features to fine tune things. We'll slip in those as quickly as we can.
Indeed. Okay. A little off topic, but one that I see coming up multiple times here as well. My guy AC is asking about solution grouping. Will this be coming soon? The more I build, the more I need it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think now that the team can take a breath, everything is, we're almost there with the solution grouping, and we'll be able to move a couple of resources to finish that up that's there. But it's super simple. I've communicated this before. You'll be able to go in and we'll have a default list of groupings that we'll provide to help keep things consistent. You'll be able to customize that, add your own, and then you'll be able to take each solution and put it in a group. And then you can decide on your homepage to display, you can filter by group. So when you come in, you'll be able to see what you want. And I wish we had that for today. It was just too much to get that in this particular release.
Yeah, that'll be nice. Mariah with a comment and a question. The comment, I tried today the embedding of dashboards. It works in an iframe. So there you go, folks. And the question is around whiteboarding. So when will whiteboarding potentially be standalone and something that can be pulled into a dashboard?
Interesting. I don't think we have a whiteboarding dashboard widget. It's a part of the SmartDoc field type, but that technically there's no reason we couldn't do that if we feel that's valuable. Yeah, so I'd say let's get that into the, let's get a feature request in and vote on that. And if it starts bubbling up, we'll look at moving that into the pipeline.
Confirming a few here. Alma's just saying repeating tasks. This is something that you all have. The answer is yes.
Yep.
We went down I'm tracing back some comments and there's a dark mode. Yes. Actually, a lot of buzz too around, John, that chat widget, the ability to, I think the goal is to displace a Slack or a Teams, but to be able to communicate where the work is done. Right now, yes, you can do that in the communication center and people use that. We hear from customers all the time. That's a big piece of doing the work, but having that in a dashboard would be a really nice addition.
Yeah, let me further clarify that as well. So there's two pieces to that. I talked about the first piece where you can pick users and groups that will be able to actually have conversations. The second piece is you'll be able to say, include all the record level conversations in this one place. So now anything that you have at the record level will come into you can display all of those at once in a dashboard for anything in a particular table or set of records that's there. So that's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah. Like that. Okay. Solution groups, permissions. Yeah, just a comment for May around when we have that solution grouping, it would be nice if permissions could be set at the group level.
Yeah, I wish it was super simple to be able, with the UI, to be able to do that. I understand the concept that's there. So we don't have an answer to that just yet on how to override things. But yeah.
Jai's asking, can you give a very clear demo or clear example of how the public can interact with these versus a guest versus a user?
Yeah, let's just. So here's just a dashboard. And if you want to share that with someone, you just create a link and then it just creates that link and shows that information. So this link you can share with anyone. The information that is here when you share it is read only, but this is how it will look. So they won't have any of the icons or anything across the top. It will just include the name that you've named, whatever this is that's here. And it will include the navigation, just all the elements will be there in a read-only state. The second part of that question is if it's a guest user that's inside of your account, they'll be able to come in and see everything that's here that you've given them access to. They will not be able to edit things with the exception of due dates and statuses that have for records that have been assigned to them. So they could say something was complete, but they won't be able to add new records if they're a guest. They can basically just view and mark that. The third part of that is coming in the fourth quarter will be a different type of user that you can give access to one of these that's at a much reduced rate from a regular user, but they can only access a given dashboard to do things. And then you can give them whatever permissions you desire at that point. Rick, does that, you think, answer the question or?
I think it does. Yeah, I think that covers it. Kelly's asking here about where are the dashboard contest submissions? I'm not seeing anything. Yeah, anything more you want to share there? I think folks are excited to get building.
Yeah. So we're going to make an announcement on Monday with the formal contest with all of the information around that, with the prizes and how to submit and examples and such that's there. And then where I showed you, there'll be a link that goes right to the SmartSuite product roadmap. our feature request, and there'll be a second board there that is for the contest that's there. We've loaded 5 or 6 things in there that we're already sharing with people, getting some feedback on just the content, so we can have this all finalized in the next 3 days. Excuse me.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay. All right. Some very pointed and specific ones here. So I'm not going to go too deep down the rabbit hole. Yeah. And in fact, these are stacked. We have 50 plus open questions. I know that we intended to keep going here, but maybe I will just summarize with some love for our developers, for Artem, for Peter, of course, for John and team, but the folks that you might not see on these webinars that are doing this amazing work day in and day out. Want to show just I want to highlight a few comments that I've seen here. So from Jerry, SmartSuite continues to blow me away. You've been able to maintain your culture of communication and make us all feel a part of the journey and the team. As an experienced business guy and an old one, I rank SmartSuite as the best company ever. That's quite
cool to hear.
Daisy, when I registered for this webinar, I felt like I was waiting for Christmas morning. This has been so much better than Christmas morning. Thank you, Daisy. Adrian's calling out very fairly. Please, John and team, self-care, maybe a team party. I had to throw that one out there. So I would agree that would make sense. Don, all these new additions are really starting to show application maturity, looking very nice and executive friendly, which is, I know, something that we want to continue to focus on as well. And any comments there, John, and just generally building for anyone across an organization?
Yeah, so I think that's a great word, executive friendly. We talk about making things feel more professional for the people that need things to feel more professional, and then for millennials and Gen Zers that need things to feel a little more creative and free form, that we're giving you capabilities to do both with the new settings and widget types and things. So you can really cater the information to the audience that's specific. But we're spending a lot of time on that. And if you have, what really helps us is if you have examples of things that you would like to see, like you're using now on other products that you think are professional or that we need to be able to replicate, please send those through. And that's the best kind of use case for our design team to look at. Yeah, and I'll just say one last time, I know we've got to jump off here in just a minute or two, but our development team is just absolutely outstanding. Most of them are on the call today. I just wanted them to hear the feedback. They've been working a lot of hours. It's developers, it's the QA, it's the product, customer support, like it's everybody that's there. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. And please give us some feedback back in the feedback form that we've put in the channel, because I want that to go mainly back to that team just to see what you like that's here.
Any last words, Artem? I'm sure you're looking at your next list of things to be released after this already, but
no, I think we have to take 1 or 2 days to celebrate this, because that's really a result of very hard work, what John was saying. Yeah, so great respect to the team.
Yeah, if we can, I know there's quite a few questions. If we can just capture those, and we'll make sure that we get back to people personally on that, either set up calls or respond back through intercom to you there. But I appreciate everybody's time. I think we had close to 800 people registered for this from over 500 different companies, quite a large group of people attending today, and I appreciate that.
Yep. Thank you all.
All right. Have a great day. Thanks, everyone.
Enjoy the day. Take care.